1960, near the town of Windsor, New South Wales, a group of amateur rocketeers, known as the Valhalla Amateur Rocket Society, gathered together to carry out a series of rocket tests. The rockets were crude devices fueled by zinc dust and sulphur and ignited by the time-honoured method of lighting a fire underneath, a fire made of zinc dust and sulphur. But even in those days, attempts were made to photograph the rocket. The rocket sat on an automatic camera triggering device. Other photographers abounded as well. Disaster. For the first of many times, it was back to the drawing boards. But in the weeks that followed, a few successes kept our hopes alive. Round about this time, a new fuel was tried, consisting of sodium nitrate and sugar. The first successful test you've just seen, but not all were that successful. We had many cases where the casing strength was just not up to the pressures involved. Here's one in real time. Zinc dust and sulphur. They really go, don't they? Here we were to receive a devastating effect of rocket power. The rocket slammed into the side of the hill, causing a furrow 6 foot long and 2 foot deep. A few days later, we were to receive an even more devastating example of rocket power. A launching ramp. The entire launch facility wiped out by a new and unpredictable fuel. As a result of this failure, it was decided that no further rockets would be tested unless they had been tested statically. The first of a series of static tests began. After many failures, finally, a successful series of statics were held. It was back to flight testing. The new fuel, sodium nitrate and sugar, made into a toffee. At this stage, a form of instability known as chuffing became evident, causing the premature failure of a number of rockets. The failure was caused by, we felt, poor ignition of the rockets and a not very homogeneous fuel. Tests were carried out and motion pictures were carefully studied to try and discover the exact cause of this. Even zinc dust and sulphur rockets, the old tried and true, were tested, sometimes with quite startling results. out below. In this case, the ignition was just enough to throw the rocket clear of the launching ramp. It fell to the ground and began burning furiously, starting one of our numerous small grass fires. Somebody driving along the road, seeing us attempting to stamp out the fire, remarked that we looked like a bunch of Indians dancing for rain. A series of photographic tests were made on a new type of igniter to determine its... These high-speed motion pictures of igniters gave us a pretty good indication of how they were performing. And there was a very great improvement in the new type igniter. So came the first of the new test series. Power on, systems armed. Recorders on. Check the range. All clear, safety plug in. All systems go. Final countdown. All recorders to fast. Camera systems ready. Fire! Success. Another series of tests were made to try visual tracking of the rocket by placing a flare on top. Unfortunately, in the first attempt, the nose cone containing the flare blew out. And the rocket is now burning furiously at both ends, a sight we were to see several times. A new launching ramp, 18 foot tall, had been constructed. Not all the flare experiments were failures, however. One of them, a good old-fashioned zinc-sulphur rocket, performed extremely well. Was visible from a distance of well over half a mile. This was to be the last of the series of tests on 1.5-inch rockets. New series, 2.25 inch, were considered too large to be tested at Windsor. We had our lighter moments. For the next series, the move was made to Berrima, south of Sydney. The first static test of a 2.25 inch rocket. All systems go. Oh well, it was back to the drawing boards again. Calculation showed that the nose attachment bolts were not strong enough for the pressures involved. We dug up the pieces and verified this for the clear shearing of the nose bolts. So a static test of a new modified rocket was made, this time with a hydraulic device to measure the thrust. We were expecting a thrust of perhaps 300 pounds. thrust of almost 700 pounds had been measured. A staggering achievement. Calculations showed that a flight test would take our rocket to above 20,000 feet. So it was back to Burma for the flight test. The rocket was loaded into the ramp. A special nose cone containing a parachute designed to enable us to recover the entire system intact. The nose cone ejection mechanism is operated by an explosive squid. Comes the nerve-wracking task of arming the squid. Once again. There was jubilation in the camp that night. Calculations taken from the movie film later showed that a height of 16,000 feet was certainly achieved, and probably as high as 20,000 feet. Unfortunately, the parachute recovery mechanism failed to operate. Back to the drawing boards, and then back to Burma. Same rocket motor, but two different parachute ejection systems. The first of which contained a tank of titanium tetrachloride to produce a visible smoke trail. The YSN group turned out in force to provide communications. There must have been 20 portable or mobile 2-meter units on hand, 240 volts laid on. The first parachute ejection system had been tested by taking it up in a light aircraft and turning it upside down to detect the change in angle the rocket arches over. All systems go, safety plug in, main power on, fire. Observers noticed a strange erratic motion in the rocket's flight path, which later proved to be caused by the ejection of the parachute door during takeoff. The second system, based on a timer, was fused and set up. Once again, the nerve-wracking job of arming the squid. Successful takeoff. The rocket immediately disappeared from sight. There was some disagreement as to which way it had gone. What next? A 3-inch rocket. Static tested at Windsor a few weeks later. Carefully lowered into its hole in the ground. The arming crew stand by, fire extinguishers ready. Everybody ready? So there it is. 5 years of history. The history of amateur rocketry in Australia.